All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to now talk about Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen being retained, staying put with the Giants, um, and what that means for the team. So I did bring up after the Giants beat the Colts 45-33 that I thought that maybe this game might have saved their jobs. Now I don't know if this was the reason why, but I mean, I guess maybe it had some part in them staying. But yeah, after a year where the Giants only won 3 games, last year they went 6-11, and the first year with these two guys in place, they made the playoffs. They have regressed, but they are staying, and they will be making this top 3 pick when we get to April's draft. And how I feel about it, I don't feel strongly one way or the other. I definitely was on the side of, look, you only won 3 games. Probably shouldn't come back. But then again, the Giants have gone through this constant cycle of you hire a head coach and a GM, and then they're gone after some time. Now, Eli Manning, I heard he was on, I think it was Good Morning Football. He said that he was happy that they were both retained because it takes time to build your roster and to do it the right way and what have you. But at this point, for me, the team has gotten worse. Like they made the playoffs their first season, and they let some guys go, particularly Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley. But also, you traded Leonard Williams, Julian Love, you let go, and it's hurt the team. And on top of that, Joe Shane's previous drafts, not this past draft, but the previous two were not great. Were not great. So they really have to knock it out of the park with this offseason. And they're in a position right now, like they have the number 3 overall pick, but that does not guarantee that they will get a quarterback. Now, I have said it's not the worst thing in the world when I was talking about the updated draft order yesterday, because you could go out and get the best player in the draft in Travis Hunter. That is, unless the Titans or the Browns take him, which they're probably going to take a quarterback. The Browns, there was an update. Andrew Berry, their GM, there are reports out there that he said that Deshaun Watson had a setback in his rehab from his Achilles injury. The Browns need a quarterback. And I talked about the Titans already. They need a quarterback too. So odds are the Giants are going to have to figure out, what they're going to do with the quarterback position. Are they going to go out in free agency, a trade? What is their plan? Now, I think the Giants, with the number 3 pick, should take the best player available, and then see what you could do. Maybe you go out and you trade for J.J. McCarthy. I think that's a potential option because, let's see what Sam Darnold does in this playoff game against the Rams. Because if Sam Darnold has another dud like he did on Sunday, maybe the Vikings feel, you know what, we're going to reset the clock. We're going to move forward with our young guy, Sam Darnold. Thank you for your services. And then J.J. McCarthy is inserted as the starting quarterback. Which I would kind of feel bad for Darnold if that happens. But you know what? Darnold's going to get paid a lot of money if he ends up leaving. Well, regardless if he stays or he leaves, he's going to get paid a lot. So that's something to keep an eye on. But maybe he gets paid by the Giants. Who knows? Yeah. But getting J.J. McCarthy, that's an option. Sam Darnold's an option. Kirk Cousins could be an option. Yeah, I wouldn't love Kirk Cousins just because of the season he's coming off of. But you know, it may be another year removed from the Achilles injury. I don't know. Maybe he would be better. But yeah, I would stay away just because of the season he's coming off of. Let somebody else take on that contract. Because I mean, who knows? Maybe he ends up in Cleveland with Kevin Stefanski. I don't know. But yeah, I'm staying away from Kirk Cousins. Now, if I was getting Kirk Cousins before the Achilles injury, yeah, I'd take a chance on him, but not right now. But I even saying that, I still think Kirk Cousins is gonna figure it out again, and he'll be better. He'll bounce back from this tough stretch that he had. I mean, he threw for 500 yards in a game this year, so he still got it. It's just he lost confidence. I don't know what happened. But back to the Giants, though. So John Mara spoke to the media. He's talked about that he's run out of patience. He said that if there was any indication that the Giants were tanking, Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen would have been fired. This is what he did say on retaining. This was an official statement from him. So he said, now that our season is over, we felt it necessary to make this statement. Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll will continue in their respective roles with the organization. As disappointing as the results of the season have been, Steve Tisch and I remain confident in the process that Joe and Brian have implemented and their vision for our team. We look forward to the future and achieving the results that we all desire. They got a lot of work to do, and I think the Giants have a lot of cap space, so maybe they make some moves in free agency. Now, when the Giants have gone on a spending spree, I did see his tweet about this. When they've gone on to spend a lot, hasn't really panned out. Now, they did go on a spending spree in 2016. They improved the defense, and they did make the playoffs. But then the year after that, Eli got benched for Geno Smith. Ben McAdoo got fired midseason. It's just a terrible year. Then Dave Gettleman spent a lot of money. They brought in Kenny Golladay, and that season turned out to be a disaster as well. So, yeah, the track record when it comes to the Giants going on a spending spree is not good. And, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll are coming into next year, a little desperate because, they've been given possibly this last chance to prove themselves. And, they got a lot of cap space, so they could go crazy. And this team needs to make a lot of improvements. There definitely should be some changes on the coaching staff. Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, I think should be gone. The defense took a step back. But also, I mean, it's not even just him. It's also the personnel on the defense, too. Some guys. But, yeah, I think he should be gone. Mike Kafka is interviewing for or the Bears have requested to interview him. I'd be fine if he went elsewhere. So, yeah, there's some changes there. But, yeah, the Giants have a lot of work to do. Now, this past draft for Joe Schoen was good, so hopefully we get more of that going into this upcoming draft. He gets things right there. Because you drafted Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy, and you also, drafted Drew Phillips as well. So, yeah, the draft class wasn't that bad. It's pretty good. But the previous two is what sits wrong with Giant fans. And the other thing, too, is that's being brought up is the fact that, you got to give more than just 1 year to Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. Because if you give them 1 year with a young quarterback, if they end up drafting one, and the team ends up not doing well and you let them go, then yeah, you're kind of doing the same thing that you did to Daniel Jones, where he had Pat Shurmur for 1 year. Shurmur's gone. You bring in Joe Judge. He was only there for 2 years. Then he's gone. And then you bring in Brian Daboll. And then we're doing the same thing over and over again. Can't do that. Can't do that. So, like I said, I'm kind of indifferent on them coming back because, look, they're coming off of a really bad year. They've been regressing. I mean, the roster has more to say about Joe Schoen than Brian Daboll. So look, they gotta go out there and knock it out of the park with this offseason. They got some good players on this team that they could build around. They need to have a good draft. And like I said, they got a decent amount of cap space. So, whether you got to address the defense, maybe add another playmaker or two on offense. Because, I mean, for me, like the defense took a step back. The defense has some good players on this team. And the offense has some good players on this team too. But for me, I'm trying to address the offense however I can. Whether that's the offensive line, you add playmakers. The Giants need to build an elite offense because they have not had that since the Super Bowl, to be honest. Since the Super Bowl, the Giants have not been, well, I guess you could say the 2015 season. 2015, their offense was pretty good. It's just their defense was historically bad. And had their defense have been average, the 2015 Giants would have made the playoffs. And who knows, maybe Eli would have made another run. Call me crazy. I don't know. But they have a lot of work to do. And they better get it right. They better get it right. Because if they don't, the Giants are going to go through the same thing that they've gone through for years. But we'll find out. We'll find out what they cook up in the offseason, the draft, free agency. It's just, for me, I've just grown tired of them constantly losing to the Eagles and the Cowboys. It's just been for too long. They haven't won. This is the last thing I'll say before we go to break. They have not won in Philly since 2013 when Matt Barkley was playing quarterback for the Eagles. They have not won in Dallas since Dak's rookie year. That's how long it's been. Like, it needs to end at some point, right? Look at Washington. It took them 1 year. Now they're in the playoffs. They won 12 games after winning 4 the previous season. Can the Giants have a turnaround like that? We thought 2022 was going to be the start, but then they went right back to losing. Sustainability. That's something the Giants have not had in a very long time. So, yeah, we're going to go to break now. When we come back, we'll talk about the Steelers as they stumble into the playoffs, now dropping 4 in a row, and we'll talk about the game against the Bengals and what transpired there. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.